ended on yours or however else I discover people, I just make sure I message them right away because it's just I take it as a synchronicity. Like, okay, I want to chat with this human whenever timing is right, and so whenever it actually happens, I'm not attached to the timing of it all. It'll be perfect time.
Wow.
In fact, I've talked with some people and we've had awesome conversations since all this started with the quarantine and all this stuff. That if we would have done it when we first started talking, it just would have been a different conversation because we wouldn't have been able to talk about lots of really empowering things that we were able to talk about in this, period of time we're all in. So it all works out.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Last thing before we start, I'm going to tag you in. I'm going to go live on Instagram, just on my phone. It's going to just show the screen. So I'll tag you. You're at. Let me see if I can do it by memory. Oh yeah, easy. Urban Empath. I got you.
Urban _empath.
I was going to say, are there dots and underscores? Okay. So,
yeah.
would have been pointing people to someone else. Like, wait, I'm not doing anything right now.
Urban Empath is taken. That's why I needed the underscore. But it worked out. Then it's very clear.
Yeah. With at urban _ empath. All right, guys, getting ready to do a live Enlightened conversation here with Rachael, Pennsylvania, spiritual coach, awesome human. Okay, we're ready.
Oh, awesome human. I like that title.
All right, let's do it. Get my tripod working. I love this little tripod thingy. I can film on this phone everywhere. All right, we're good. Awesome. Thank you for letting me. Go ahead.
Do you have any idea? Are we just going to let it flow, or do you have an idea of the structure? Or
we are definitely going to let it flow. At the beginning, I'm going to ask you just to share who you are and what you do and why you do it. You'll notice quickly that everything you say will inspire me to share things. So it'll just flow. I always have. Yes, this will be easy. We'll just have fun. Zero script. All right, let's do it. Hit record on here, the most important thing out of all the technology. There we go. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and to introduce you guys to another awesome guest. We have Rachael Schaefer, who is, I didn't ask you if that's how you pronounce your last name, but I think that's how you say it, who is up in, not Pittsburgh, but she's in Pennsylvania. I didn't ask what city, but she is in Pennsylvania. And I'm just excited to talk with her today. I discovered her on Instagram not too long ago and immediately saw the love and light she was sharing with her audience and reached out to her and asked her if she wanted to have a fun conversation with me. And that's what we were going to do today. And so without further ado, Rachael is a spiritual guide, coach, just intuitive healer and reader and just all around awesome human being. So she said that's her favorite title of them all. So that's the easiest one for me to affirm. So
awesome human.
Yes, we're going to go with that one. So I want to introduce you guys to Rachael. And if you could share with the audience so they're familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all these good things.
Yeah, first off, Noel, thank you so much for having me and for the work you're doing and putting out there. I started my path as a performing artist and in New York City, in the heart of New York City, and it flowed so naturally into healing arts. And I realized there's not a big difference in what I was doing as an artist and what I'm doing as a healer. And learning to come into balance with having both, right? In my life has informed everything. The better healer I became, the better artist I became, and vice versa. So that's one thing I like to share because I feel like that was such an exciting discovery on my path. And I love working with people on a similar journey, people that are sensitives, intuitives, empaths, artists, and sensitive to energy and don't know quite how to manage that quite yet. And I do it because I know the pain and suffering that it creates. And being comfortable exploring my darkness, right? The dark emotions Artists have to go there. So do healers. Walking through those to come into a more authentic place also allows me to go there with others without fear, right?
Absolutely.
And not avoid.
Absolutely. I love how you do the parallel with the healer and performing artists, and just um, what I immediately felt from you saying that is just with both is just being in tune with our like intuitive nature. Because as you're doing anything and performing arts, like you're in the flow where you'd like to be. That's where you want to perform from, and when you're helping anyone, especially the way that you're doing, you have to tune in. You have to be in the flow of that as well. So super interesting. I've never heard the parallel, but I totally get it. I understand what you mean by it. What I'm super curious about, because it's always fascinating on people's journeys, because I know we all come into this life as these little unconditional loving little babies and bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, just out present looking at the world, just wanting to see what's here. And I know for a lot of us, maybe not all, but probably most, at some point we forget who we truly are and start comparing ourselves to other humans and wondering, are we enough, and all of these things. And I get so excited for everybody, and the reason that I do what I do is to help us, remember who we truly are, and so that we can have that light on and be able to shine that into the world however we choose. Your journey, did you go from unconditional loving little baby and to what we see now, just never stopped evolving, never forgot who you are, or was there a different path that you took?
Well, some of us have a lopsided journey, right? For me, I didn't have a sense of self. So that's can be the nature of having an empath wound, of using it's sometimes called spiritual bypassing or premature ascension, right? That was my journey and experience. So not all empaths have a wound, and it's not always from trauma, but when that's your experience, you don't have a solid sense of self. So your journey is about learning that, right? So some people have the opposite, right? Where I have a really solid sense of who I am, and I'm really connected to the material plane, and I'm transcending. Well, some of us have the opposite, where I'm so connected to spirit, and I'm so connected to energy, and kind of the etheric world, that I have to actually learn. My learning curve is coming down the chakras, right? And learning how to ground, learning how to be connected to Mother Earth and trust. And that's been my journey and experience. And so I work with people in that way too. That's why I'm also passionate in teaching people who have this learning curve, right? How to be present to yourself, how to be present on the earth. It's not a perfect journey, like there's no destination. I still have those triggers, I still have those weaknesses. It's about mindfully coming back, right? Just like when you're in meditation and your mind wanders, because it does, that's what it does, right? It's going to do that. As soon as you're aware, you come back to your process, to your practice, and it takes practice. Another way, mastery, like self-mastery, is so connected in the healing arts as well as the performing arts.
Absolutely. Super interesting how you just described that. It's the first person I've spoken to that's described the different, because I just love how all of us, our souls are here, and we're all experiencing just a different evolution, and we're all at a different place as far as our soul's evolution, and it's forever. Like, it's in this lifetime and beyond. Like, it's something that will always continue to be. And I love how you just described that, as far as like just some of the simple differences on our soul's journeys and how it's looked for you and how it can look for others. And I think that's awesome. So much so where I've talked to people, for instance, and they've mentioned, they've mentioned being able to remember like past lives and the things that they're doing in this life being really, similar, and for a time them trying to push it away, not really embrace that, and then it got stronger to where it was either like, you're gonna probably have to embrace this, or you probably will be so depressed that you'll probably take yourself out of this physical life. Like, some interesting stuff to where our souls just want to evolve, and so super interesting what you're describing. I love hearing that. I'm always fascinated by just knowing that life is just, there's universal truths and then there's possibility, And so whenever I hear about someone's journey and like what it's been for them, it's just like it just opens my mind up a little bit to other expressions of this non-physical energy that all of us are. Is very interesting to me. I love the way you shared that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the reasons I trained in past life regression, that's something I offer. I had profound experiences there, and it helped with self-discovery. And this is why not all wisdom is one. Wisdom is not one size fits all. It's not medicine for every person, right? Someone might hear, be unconditionally loving and give more of yourself. And I like to remind people that know yourself, because if you know you're an empath, you know that's not great advice for you, right? Because you're already lacking boundaries. You're already in a place where you don't really have a self to sacrifice. So the work is different. It's a little bit opposite. This is where, the path of self-discovery and knowing yourself helps everybody, because we build trust by acknowledging boundaries, right? If someone's coming to you and unconditionally giving, even when you're kind of giving indirect cues to please stop, there's a lack of trust there by the receiver as well, right? Boundaries are required for trust, including ourselves. We often abandon ourselves in our process because we were conditioned to. And the way I like to work with people in coaching or spiritual healing, however you want to label it, is listening, teaching them how to really be present with all their moving parts, right? One of the systems of healing I like to work within, or model for healing, is internal family systems. I studied ancestral healing through family constellations, and I found you can do that on the micro too, right? So a lot of us feel like we're an isolated entity on this path, and it creates a lot of suffering. And we forget we're part of a big system, the ancestral system. And all of this is happening in your mind. That's the amazing part. That's the profound part, is it's how are you using your mind, because that you can change. You can expand your awareness, right? It initiates in the mind with awareness, your healing path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love once we're open to that, like awareness, once people have if the light bulb is on and we're open to, allowing ourselves to evolve consciously, doing it on purpose, and how it's just a never ending journey from there, where I just love knowing that I can attract the next thing that gives me the awareness that I need. You said something a second ago that I'm going to point out that really interesting, just for me, where I am on my journey, like as of today, like just super interesting things that continue to be brought into my attention. But just my point, and before I share this, is just being open to that and not feeling like we ever will know it all, because none of us will know all the truths of the universe, not in this one lifetime, that's for sure, and probably not ever. And it's not necessary for us. Like, we will attract the things that are useful for us on our path and on our journey. And the more open we are to that, then the universe can bring those things to us in infinite ways, like through the mouth of another human being, through anything. Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be like you could be looking at nature and see a bird fly by and just be like, oh, and just have the realization right then and there, like it can happen. But we have to be open to it. If we think like our ego is so strong to where we feel like we already know it all or another human being can't be valuable to us, then it's probably not going to be that valuable to you, because we're just not open to receiving in that moment. But you said something a second ago about boundaries that so interesting, because I've always cared about other people, as far as if I feel like I've become aware of something that's benefited me, and I'm seeing, because we're all mirrors for each other. So, if I'm just wanting to just show love to someone, like I'm seeing in them just who they truly are. I'm just seeing them as just this awesome human. And I have these things that I've become aware of, and it's like, I really want to share this. Before, like years ago, I used to just give unsolicited advice, and it wasn't always received well, but I noticed how it was affecting my energy, because if anyone ever like didn't receive it the way I wanted them to, or like I didn't think that they appreciated it, then I would be resentful, and I didn't like that resentful feeling in me. So I was like, I got to switch this up and start asking permission for, like, can I share something with you that I feel would be like just something for you to ponder, something for you to think about? Like, I tread really light when it comes to that question, and most people will be open to it. Some have said, no, Noel, I'm not looking for any guru right now or anything like that. I'm like, cool, I'm just so. But then what I've noticed and what you just helped me just become even more aware of. Once I get close to someone, and I care about you even more now because now I have an even stronger connection. Sometimes those boundaries can be lost for me, and just wanting to just like, you might say something or you might post something on social media and you get a voice message from me and say, hey, I want to share something with you. And they didn't ask for like my, sharing. So I've noticed the boundary thing. You helped me to, because this is something that I've been thinking about even in the last 24 hours. There's humans that I'm like, did I give them more than what they asked me for? Probably, so.
Well, that's really aware of you. That's the first thing, or something that people that are on a path of growth and committed to growth and committed to helping others learn. It's a learning curve, is that we aren't rescuers. People need to come to the table for their own healing, right? If it's not something we're going to encounter resistance, we're going to encounter protector parts, right? In the internal family systems, we work with protector parts because that's preventing us from getting to the source of the pain, right? Those protectors are in place to protect from the world. We have to show them respect. So if you're more aware that people are sometimes really blended with the moving parts inside of them, aren't connected to who they really are in moments, right? This self with a capital S, the higher self, that's who you really are. But most of us get really blended and over-identified with certain parts of us and aspects, and that becomes our self-identity. And some of us, you'll find, some of us are just so identified with a protector that we're not open, right? We're not open for feedback. We're not open to learn. We're not open to grow. And you're wasting your breath. And the beautiful thing about what you did with that is you redirected, right? Sometimes we experience that as rejection and we use it to shift our identity, our self-identity of, I guess I'm not a helper. I guess, is this not what you want me to do, God? Instead, what you did so beautifully was realized this information that's flowing through me that I'm channeling is meant for a bigger audience. So I'm going to open these conversations up to people that are coming to me. And I think that was enlightened of you. Speaking of enlightened conversations.
Absolutely. No, and what you said, I love that you just said that just now. Thank you for affirming all that. And even with the title Enlightened Conversations, like what I know about, energy and frequency is it's only in the moment. So the reason I titled this podcast that is because I know in these moments, like we're just going to play in this like awesome vibration where they will be enlightened and it will be empowering and uplifting. And, if this was a podcast where we just jumped on and like complained the whole time, then we'd have to call it complaining conversations, something like that.
Hey, there's a time and place for that too.
I know, right? So no, it's just, I appreciate you saying that because, a lot of times, especially when people, because a lot of times I'll attract people, I know you do too, that are on their spiritual path, and I'm impressed with, the things that they become aware of, and it's awesome, and like we can vibe and like share things. So for them, it's just like I really want to share like everything that I become aware of, and even sometimes I just notice that sometimes people just they want to go on their own journey without like the assistance from the even though I'm only sharing from a place of like I'm connected, like I'm channeling through, like when I'm sending you a voice message, no matter who you are out there, like I'm only sending it from this like connected place. I've actually never sent any voice message on social media unless I'm just vibing high. So if you see one come up for me, you're like, if I don't want to feel a lot of energy right now, don't click on it because that's what's coming through that. So for me, it's just I'm at peace knowing that if I'm speaking from a place of being connected with my higher self, I'm okay with everything that comes through. It's just more of a discernment and just being aware. Like, do I want? Because I almost, in the example that I'm using, I almost sent an additional message when I realized it wasn't received well. Just sending more love, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to feel like I'm trying to change them in any way. I'm trying to give people their space, and at the same time, I like to remind all of us that we're just mirrors for each other. So if we're pointing out anything in another, all I'm wanting to point out is just that I love you. Like I want to send love to you. Like I see the love in you. I see who you truly are. But if we're pointing out anything where it's like, if we were to read that and like, I don't really like what I'm pointing out, it's just things that are going on inside of us that, you know, are reflecting out, because it's just mirrors. If we're pointing out things in the world or other people or anything. So just good reminders. You know, all of us are, you know, we're here, like Ram Dass said, walking each other home. It's all good.
Yeah. And I like that you know, you went inside and considered what's the most respectful approach, right? And your ability to self-correct with non-attachment, right? It's like, I did the best I could. This is what I felt called to do, and I offer this without attachment. That's true generosity. That's true giving, right? And it's an acknowledgement of the fact that you're co-creating. It takes a heck of a lot of pressure off an individual who's here to, who is really invested in their contribution, to understand they're not doing it alone, that they're being guided along the way. It's a calling, and it's a co-creation. And it takes the ego out, right? And then we aren't attached to results, to outcomes, to the way it's received. And it also makes us less sensitive to criticisms. We can see, oh, okay, yeah, I'll work with Creator a little differently this next time. Right? It's not as personal, and remaining humble in that way is really important.
Absolutely. I love that. It's so much fun to be able to flow that. Like the universe used your insight and what you shared to speak directly. That was very useful for me just in the period of time, because I noticed, and here's another thing that I'll share with the audience, and I know you know this, Rachel. It's awesome whenever we have like an inquiry for the universe, like, what's going on here? I get answers so quickly, and like literally this, like what you just said, like this came in a matter of like hours after like me asking the question, and I wasn't expecting that an answer would come through you, but that was my point a few minutes ago. Knowing the answers can come from anywhere is awesome, because now the universe just has open channels from every direction to reach us. So I want everybody to know that, because it's awesome when we can ask questions for ourselves, for humanity. Right now we're at a time in human history where a lot of people are self-reflecting and, asking themselves, what is it that I would like to see evolve in my life, or what I would like to see evolve in humanity. And it's a beautiful time for that. And just be really excited that the answers will come. And, you probably won't even know the way that they'll come. It's probably unlikely that you will, but they will come. And you can trust that, and you can go back to just being in the present moment and being in tune with your higher self, which is when the answers will come. Very unlikely that, I receive an answer or I'm able to hear the answer that Rachael gave. And this would never happen, me coming onto this podcast like all upset and like angry. I'm so excited to like do these and like co-create. But just for all of us, very unlikely that the answer that you're wanting from your higher self is going to find you when you're not being who you truly are, when you're not connected to it. You can't see or hear it. The answers are always there, but if you're in some of the energies which are part of the human experience, not saying they're wrong, but if you're doubting, worrying, blaming, upset, angry, powerless, depressed, the denser, heavier energies, you're just not a frequency match to the answer that you're asking for. And once you return back to peace, and then you can hear it and see it again. Return back to love, you can hear it and see it again. And that's when the answer just pop in. You'd be in the shower somewhere out in nature, and it's like, so I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And, sometimes we need to know, it's important to know if this is just an emotional low that we're going through. I mean, you brought up so much. I have so much energy channel flowing through me right now. You can feel this heightened state. That's why we're like, there's so much energy flowing between us and from a higher power. But sometimes the guidance is wait, and we don't like that, right? Sometimes the information, the feedback that's coming is pause. It's not a time for action right now. We hate that. Right? Sure. If we don't have clarity, if we don't have certainty, and we're a seeker, we identify as a seeker of knowledge, right? A seeker of answers. We don't have an answer, we suffer, don't we? But sometimes the guidance is wait. We're going to have to go through moments in life where there's uncertainty. It's a huge part of life. And people like me, like that like to read and do divination, we want answers. We want certainty. And it creates suffering when we don't have those answers. It also creates suffering when we attach to an answer that no longer applies, right? Because the timeline has shifted or a different order was created out of the chaos. So I try to proceed with caution when it comes to reading, because I realize people are coming to me for certainty in times of uncertainty. And I try to put them back in touch with their own inner knowing, right? So that's the beautiful thing about this, is that no matter what you come to me for session work, what's meant to be will happen, and we're going to flow with it, right? You didn't come to me for a reading, but I prayed before this conversation that we both be nurtured by this, that it would be a win-win, and it would nurture that beautiful energy of spirit would flow out to anyone listening, right? So you giving me answers, me giving you answers, that's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. A beautiful co-creation. This and everything that we're all involved in this life. It's so much fun. Yes, I appreciate this conversation so much already. It's awesome. So question for you, Rachael, like what just interesting time in human history right now, and what are you excited about as far as whether it be your personal evolution or for humanity, or what's exciting for you? Like what's brewing right now? What's your vision for either personal life or humanity or both, or what's going on in your world?
I'm excited to know that the entire world is regrouping, that our value system is being questioned and tested. We're questioning what's essential, right? What do we really want to invest in? What's valuable? I think that has been long overdue. And these times are trying because we want certainty, we want answers, and we want them now. But the beautiful thing is, it's a check-in, it's an opportunity to see where your faith is. Where is your faith at, right? And it doesn't matter what the source of that is. It can be a higher powers creating order here. There is divine order going to come out of this chaos. It can also be looking back over time, all the struggles you've come through, and finding strength in that, seeing your own strength reflected back in your own personal story. It can also be, I feel awful right now, and I know that it's okay, and I can be with that, and I can listen to that feeling and observe it, and that can be a healing experience for me, right? Because what we observe changes, it shifts and grows. And as an artist, taking times like these for inner reflection, using the darker times, the hardships, the heavier emotions, and transmuting them into something beautiful, relatable, healing for other people. That's what it's all about, And then there are times where you're just being stubborn and attached to your victim consciousness, right? And you got to shift out of it. So just knowing the difference, where if it's a pattern and it's something you keep coming back to, it's probably a wound that needs to be looked at. If it's a moment where you're just feeling low and you spiral down from a thought loop, and it's a momentary thing, then there's so much you can do to shift out of it, right? There's so many ways to shift out. So just knowing yourself enough. That's why knowing yourself, it really is a way of building immunity, right? And emotional resilience. And I think we're all learning that right now.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think the way that we can know ourselves, I mean, one of the best ways is just through life experience, and having these darker times or more challenging times in life. If we really think about like the things that we're clear about as of today, which all of us, I love knowing that we're more clear as of right now than we've ever been in our life, as far as the things we like and don't like, we desire and don't desire, and we'll continue to be more and more clear as we live more life. So even though we might think, and there was a time where I thought I would just like eliminate all like the really traumatic experiences of life, and that might be easy as a human to say, oh, yes, I would get rid of this, this, and this. If we did, though, we'd also have to eliminate the life experience and the lesson and the clarity and the desire. And now we're different humans, so we're not on the same trajectory. And so I can appreciate now all of the things that have brought me to this moment now, because I'm really excited about the things that I'm excited about creating for myself, for humanity, and the journey that I'm on. And I couldn't give away any of the other things and still be on this same path. So no, it's beautiful. It's beautiful when we can, and what we've said before is so important, like with the non-attachment. For me, like once I learned that I could ask any question and just trust the answer would find me, and I wasn't attached to how I thought it should work out. And because there's so many things that, for all of us, if we think, 5 years ago, we might have been doing things and we're like, this isn't working out so well, but we're using those things like today, the life experiences and the things that we learned how to do. And so I've really just learned to let go and to trust and to just get back to the present. And I don't demand of myself to be in bliss in this moment, even though I enjoy bliss and know how to get there, let momentum carry me from a place of peace to now there could be an excitement about something, a passion, I'm loving what I'm doing, and then all of a sudden I'm having the time of my life. But I also don't, I don't need to spend, even though it's part of the human experience, I don't need to unnecessarily if I catch myself maybe I'm being critical of something or anxious about something, and I'm going all over the place right now. I have lots of energy flowing too. But you've said so many things that have inspired me. When it comes to the times where I feel personally, Noel, the worst in this human experience right now and where I am in life is when I'm confused about something and I'm trying to, I don't have clarity about something. Actually, 2 days ago, I woke up, I had an amazing conversation with a friend the night before, and they pointed some things out which were awesome. I was so appreciative of it. But it was enough for me to think about, and it had to do with my overall vision for life. And so I'm like, there's something there, there's something the universe wants me to see, but I was trying to figure it out, and it wasn't meant for me to figure out at night. And so I went to sleep. I meditated before I went to sleep, and I woke up and I was in a good mood, but not as good of a mood as I like to wake up in. I like to wake up super excited for the day, and then I meditate and I'll take it to another place, and it's just part of my morning practice. But this day I was I was still confused. But it's okay, because I know that after confusion comes clarity, and after clarity comes excitement and focus for me, and then flowing energy, and then you're just back on the path. So I'm never worried that I'm going to stay confused, but for there, it's just I've learned not to, like you mentioned, it's not time for action, no confusion. I could easily from confusion is clarity. That's the next step from confusion for me. So I just said a lot. I don't know if that made sense, but
confusion is often a state we're in when our brain is looking for a new way, right? So sometimes it's wise to celebrate confusion, because it trains the brain that loves to create neural pathways, create more and more of the same, to, yes, please reprogram, right? If this isn't working for me, I'd love to find a different way. I'd love to find a new solution. And it's a process. So again, we'd love to shut that down and rush it. But what I love about that is you went to sleep on it, right? And so much guidance and wisdom can come in during that time. That's why sleep is so important too. And if you're not meditating consistently, you often need more sleep because of that. But yeah, your brain is seeking answers in those moments, and it's seeking a new pathway. So you're right, clarity will come of that. But we got to give it its process. Sure. Some things are process oriented in life, right?
For sure. It's so cool though. As this has become a practice over the years, I notice confusion doesn't last as long for me anymore. I know how to not push the confusion where momentum continues to pick up, where I feel really heavy, dense energy, where it's now I'm depressed because I can't figure this thing out. I've just learned what it is, and so my only focus when I'm feeling confused is just to pop back to being at peace, just releasing it and just trusting that, and a lot of times I know the things that are useful for me to like the animals in the wild, after they've had a traumatic experience. I love the example of if a gazelle is being chased by a lion and they like make it out of that stressful situation, like they go like shake themselves out and then they're just back to being the gazelle. Ducks do that if they've had like a quarrel, like they shake themselves out. And so my version of that is like many things. Like it could be meditation, it could be putting on some spiritual teachers that I'm in tune with, that I like to hear. Whether it be YouTube or something, going out in nature. I think we all have those like shake out things that can bring us back to peace. And from there, that's normally when the idea pops in that gives me the clarity that I'm looking for. And then the level of excitement that I have going from, and this is why we can appreciate also the emotions like confusion and even depression. I mean, even any of the denser energies, because as we pop back up to who we truly are, it feels so good. Like those are typically, I'm in such a good mood after that, because it's like I was just confused and now I'm like have clarity. I'm so excited now, and then I'm just flowing energy back towards on the path. So I love it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes contrast is the greatest teacher.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
Absolutely. So much fun. We've shared a lot of good things with the audience in this conversation so far, Rachael.
I feel like there's going to be a part 2 and a part 3. No, I'm kidding.
It's pretty normal now, and I'm affirming it right now with you that this is our first collaboration, but not the last for sure. It's like once I feel someone's energy and I'm drawn to like reach out to them, I just know that it's not a coincidence. Like there's billions of people on the planet, and social media makes it easier for us to connect with each other. But it's just not a coincidence that I landed on your page and that you resonated with the message that I sent you. If it was meant to happen, then I knew that it would, and it has. So yes, I'm definitely excited for future co-creations. Very impactful. But we're not done yet.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, and I just want to make sure that now, because we're getting so much juice out of Rachael, I want to make sure we get all the juice that she wants to share with you guys today. Just one of my favorite things to know is that like the internet is like living, probably will outlive us all, physically here in the physical body. So
yeah,
someone can hear this episode 100 years from now, and there's people listening live right now, and it'll be released in a few weeks on iTunes and Spotify and all these places. So just anything that you just would want to share, that you feel will make an impact, could be about anything you're called to share. You've been doing it the whole time, so I appreciate you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I think if you're from the future looking back, we're doing the best we can. Don't judge us. We're doing the best we can with all of the information floating out there. We don't know. We're trying to find the truth. And I'm happy we're still surviving. I think that something we underestimate on the path is lightheartedness, humor, and I think it's the best way to transmute. I think sometimes we think if we're not working hard, if we're not being serious, if we're not sweating, that we're not doing anything. And I just think that not enough of us feel comfortable laughing at things, making light of things. And I think we're afraid of not being taken seriously or respected. And I think respect is something you command through boundaries, right, and how you carry yourself. But being funny, humorous, and finding the humor in everything that you possibly can is the most transmutive thing you can do for any energy. It can raise the frequency of it, right? Also, how can you be more comfortable with what is and see how things are working out in your favor despite appearances, despite your attachment to a different outcome? How can you see how that thing you said or what you did is helping you in your on your path, right? Or your current circumstances. It's easy to look out and see a lot of things we don't want. But a better challenge and maybe a better task would be looking out and seeing all the answered prayers, the things we once prayed for. We become so desensitized, but it is a testament to our ability to manifest. So if we look around and we have no gratitude, it's easy to go there, don't get me wrong, particularly in these times where emotions are high. and we're tempted into despair at times, right? Can you look out and see how maybe you at one time prayed for more silence or prayed for more solitude, right? Or more free time, and see how even in these times that it was an answered prayer.
I love it. I love it. Can you tell that I'm super playful, Rachel? I like to laugh and joke at everything. When you were saying that, I was like, it's so important. Like, if we can not take things so serious, it will really help me with that. And this may sound strange to the audience. I don't know how many times I've said this, maybe not too many, but once I understood that as an energetic being, and even though we look in the mirror and say, that's Noel, and that's Rachel, and that's whoever you are, knowing that I'm really the non-physical energy that's flowing through. Some of you out there might call it God, universe, love, all it is, source, spirit, infinite intelligence. Once I realized that that's who we truly were, and we're just different expressions of it, and that whenever it's time for me to leave this physical avatar that is called Noel, I get to go back out with all it is, and what I'll choose to do next, who knows? Doesn't really matter to me too much. I know I'm alive now. Once I realized that, I was like, well, I'm not really taking things so serious. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I leave this physical avatar. I'm enjoying being here, but I'm not going to like stress myself out about not being in this physical avatar anymore. I'm just going to enjoy it as much as humanly possible, create the things that I would want to see in the world, and so that I can have enjoyment, others can have enjoyment. I can inspire other people to go create the things they want to see in the world, and that's why I root for people so hard, Rachel, because whatever you out there listening to this right now choose to go out there and create, we all get to participate in. We all get to play with whatever it is, whether it's technology or a new food experience, whatever it is. Like, we all get to enjoy that with you, and then you'll inspire us to say, "Ooh, I love this! Like, I want to go create this." And then it's just a co-creative dance, and it's happening anyway. What I'm most excited about right now is that it's happening more and more consciously as more people are waking up to who they truly are. And the more consciously we can go out there and play in this co-creative dance, the momentum gets going, and we get to really see, like you mentioned, the people 150 years from now, we're doing the best we can. When you said that, that's so funny. It's like a comedy special for them. Like, they're not going to be they won't be in a place, they won't be judging us because we are doing the best we can, but they're like, those silly humans in 2020, like, what were they thinking?
I don't know. I mean, we often look back at history and think, what were they thinking?
I know.
I don't want us to be judged. We're doing the best we possibly can.
So much fun. I love it.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun creating. You have an incredible YouTube channel, by the way, with amazing conversations. My first incarnation of one of the first incarnations of my business was I advertised it as Healing Conversations, because I looked back at my healing path and saw the impact conversations had that just sparked something in me, right, on the path. So I used to describe my work that way. I mean, it still is. I think I'm the more I learn to give the process to the client, the more powerful the session work is and the less they need, right? Teaching them how to listen to themselves. You're an amazing active listener, by the way. That's a skill that people need to cultivate, and so I acknowledge that. Like, I'm really impressed by that. And I'm uploading and creating a lot of content on my YouTube channel to help people on this path of empowerment, of self-actualization and self-knowledge. From the modalities I've trained in, there were some assumptions that were very inspiring to me. The first assumption was we're all connected to a system, even though we feel isolated at times, right? We're all connected to our ancestral system. We all have that. The second assumption was we all know what we need to do to heal. And we all have psychic ability. And that was brought in a very scientific approach of ancestral healing called family constellation therapy. And something called blind constellation, where we tune in to a representative of an aspect of our lives. It was assumed that we would know. It was assumed we'd have the ability to do that. No one had to be taught how to do it, because it was assumed we could step into the footprints of someone's ancestor and let them channel through us, we did it. So I'm creating videos on Urban Empath on YouTube that are helping develop that skill, that psychic ability, called You're the Psychic, and you tune into a crystal that's representing an aspect of life, and I reveal it at the end. You don't even know what you're tuning into, right? And then I reveal it at the end. So we all have these abilities, and they have been hidden. You know, I don't know if it's an agenda or if it's just a form of ignorance, but we all have a connection here and a capacity for answers and information. And just like the body knows how to heal itself, if a finger gets cut, the body starts the healing process. There's an aspect of spirit. There's an aspect of spirit that knows how to heal emotional wounds, traumas, limited thinking. We know how to heal. And I think if you understand that maybe you just need a little structure, like we'll put a Band-Aid on a cut, or we'll put a cast on our arm, but that's not the healing component. The body's healing itself. So a healer might provide structure for you, but you heal yourself, right? And I think that's, of all the things I've trained in my decade of working in the healing arts, that's the most inspiring thing to me, is that my system knows how to heal itself. I know I said a lot. I'm sorry.
No, it's beautiful.
You're really helping me channel a lot.
I love it. This is why when you asked at the beginning, are we gonna, what direction this is gonna go? Is that this is gonna flow exactly where it wants to flow? Like, for me, and thank you for complimenting my YouTube. We can always see in another what's apparent in us, like what's reflecting. So we're reflections of each other, and the appreciation that you have for the things that I'm creating, and it just shows as you're describing the awesome things that you're creating. I'm excited to go to your YouTube as well. The way that I look at like YouTube and just all this stuff, especially these conversations, these enlightened conversations, like these are like binge listening for people whenever they discover it, and I'm totally detached to when that happens or how that happens, because like most of the planet, like 99.99999% of the planet doesn't even know that even any of these conversations have happened, even though there's been a lot of them. So I'm just excited for whenever people are attracted to discover them, and just hit the shuffle, and just whatever awesome human pops up, like I promise you out there, like you'll enjoy, because we're just flowing at this energy to where you're going to be able to tap in. This is what I love knowing about energy and frequency is, and also why I'm such an active listener. Thank you for that. Because being super present and being able to tune into frequency and just allowing it to go where it goes, we allow momentum to carry us up to where, the conversation started with just an excitement and for the conversation and intention to, to share love with the audience and with each other and all these things. And then from there, as momentum starts carrying us, it's like, woo, now we're channeling from places where energy is just flowing. And it's not Rachael nor I thinking about what we're going to say next. It's just a matter of just letting flow through what's meant to come through. So, yes, I appreciate you saying that. I'm excited for anybody out there to discover this conversation for sure. And anything else that you create, anything that I create, it's just going to come from this same frequency. And you out there listening can tap into that. And that's who you truly are also. So it allows your frequency to go there and then wherever it wants to go beyond that. So it's awesome.
This was so much fun.
Yes, it was. It has been, for sure. First of many collaborations. You're awesome.
So are you.
Yep.
Yeah, for real.
We're just reflecting each other in this co-creative dance and playing on awesome frequencies. And thank you guys out there in the audience for playing with us, whoever's listening live. For anybody that's on here live with us on Zoom, by the way, out there, if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube or anywhere, you can join on these live conversations if you register, and I'll send you updates on when I'm doing more. Been doing a lot. This is my human connection during quarantine, and just having so much fun. And Rachael, I thank you for sharing your love and light. Anybody that's on here live with us right now, if you have questions here on Zoom, feel free. Type it in the chat box or raise your hand, and I'll answer. But thank you, Rachael, for sharing your energy with all of us. It's been so much fun. And you guys share this episode. Definitely will be impactful for anybody that is attracted to listen. And iTunes has told me recently that you can leave more than one review on the podcast. So feel free to say that Rachael Human was awesome. I learned this, this, and this, and I'll screenshot and make sure that she gets that. And just thank you guys who have already been doing that. It's making it easier for people to find these episodes. And for those of you guys that are subscribed, I'll keep having amazing conversations with beautiful humans like Rachael, and we'll keep sharing love and light, and just reminding all of us that we're all connected and we're all one in this, and just on this beautiful journey in 2020. And for those of you guys watching this 100 years from now, we're just paving the stage for you guys. You guys can you guys can be like, they're showing us what maybe we don't want to do, and some things that we do, and you guys will just take it from there.
Basically, you're welcome, any future watcher.
Exactly. We don't always have to get the life experience on our own. We could look at the life experience of others sometimes and be like, oh, thank you for showing me that. I think I'm going to go this way.
Awesome. Yeah, you're doing something really amazing here,
I appreciate it.
And you have the ability to hold space in the way, are you a coach? I guess I should have explored this a little bit.
So my focus right now, because I could, anybody that reaches out to me, I help them. And people reach out to me just randomly on some of the social medias. I'll have conversations and all this stuff. And I like to just point people back and remind people who they truly are. So, but what I'm creating right now is a community for everybody to have the light bulb come on. Everybody on the planet is invited. But what I want to see is the 2020 version and beyond of how we were back when everybody was in tribes and everybody offered whatever it is that they had to offer to the tribe so that everybody could be abundant. I'm just all about that. And I really, because of knowing that awareness can come from any human being, I just look at all of us as valuable. And if we choose to add whatever it is, maybe it's some things that you've learned as a few years as a parent. And it's just like, when I'm parenting consciously my child and allowing them to evolve, this is what I'm seeing, and that could uplift another parent out there. So right now, just everything I'm creating is to bring us together, and I want people to have the awareness of who we truly are and the abundance of time and money and everything that matters to you. Because imagine living in a world, Rachael, where there were millions or billions. Everybody is invited. This is our birthright. So the way I look at it is, if we're spending right now even 1 second doing things that we wouldn't do if we had all the money and time in the world, like we would be doing things that are fulfilling, things that are fun, things that we feel like we're called to do. So why can't we create that world? Well, we can. The only reason that it's been a challenge is because we have the illusion that we're separate. And so everybody's thinking, how can I compete? How can I be the top of this? How can I be the top of that? Nothing wrong with that, but the results that we get when we're separate is what we see in humanity right now. Instead, if we come together and use all this technology that we have and the ability to connect, and we ask the question to the universe, how can we thrive? How can we be abundant? Then you can have millions or billions of people on the planet that have the light bulb on. This is what they'll be in 150 years. It's just a matter of, are we going to get on board before we all leave here physically or not? So that's the world I want to live in, where people are doing what sounds most fun and fulfilling, and just waking up every day and doing that, not having to do anything with their time unless it's something they feel like they're really called to do. So the reason I'm not coaching individually right now is because that's my focus on that. But I'm always down to help people.
I love that. I love that, because the family constellation work that I was talking about is also called systemic constellation. So it's not just about ancestral system, it's about any system that you have a place in, including humanity, right? And maybe we could talk about collaborating in some kind of constellation work to help facilitate some kind of shift. I would love to do something like that.
Absolutely. I'm probably the easiest human on earth to collaborate with, because again, we're just reflections. So you guys see how much I value collaboration. It's all I'm doing. So I'm probably the easiest human on earth to collaborate with. Like, it just doesn't really take much to, I love being guest on podcasts and such. Like, I'm just like, because I don't know how to think about any questions to ask. And if you ask me, it's just like, I'm just channeling from this powerful frequency. So I always apologize to just playfully to the audience in advance for the amount of information and energy I'm going to flow through at one time. Because if not, we might just have 2-hour conversation, 3-hour conversation. So I need to get it out.
Right.
In this, it's just like I can allow you to lead and it'll flow where it flows. And I'll add little insights like you guys have noticed always. Like I told Rachael before we started, pretty much everything you say is going to inspire me to share something. So, but it's more a focus on, I want to squeeze the juice out of Rachael, because this is the first time that this audience has been introduced to Rachael, unless you've discovered her before. And so when I'm like collaborating with somebody on their platform, and this may be the only time that they hear from me, I just want to give them like everything. So I'm like channeling all the things that I've become aware of in all of my life experience, and it's fun. So yes, just throwing that out there for anybody that, before you reach out for me to collaborate, just know you'll be hit with a fire hose of pure positive energy, and it's all from a place of connection.
That's awesome.
So much fun. Well, thank you again. And yes, excited to talk more about any collaborations with you and with everybody out there. And just really happy to be a part of this global community called humanity. 7.7 plus billion of us, and we're all in this together. So we'll talk with you all soon on another episode. Have a beautiful day whenever you hear this. And thank you guys for tuning in live. And on Instagram, you guys still there? Oh, just in time. Talk to you guys soon. Awesome. So much fun.
Thanks, Noel.
All right, I'm gonna